Hello, everybody. We're back with another episode of the Hawkcast here. Today on the episode, we have Mr. Cummings, Mr. Hutchinson, and Mr. Kath to talk about Hawk basketball. It was a fun episode to record and to kind of hear all their different perspectives and their excitement to be the coaches of our ninth grade girls and boys basketball team here at Horace High School. We get to talk about a couple random questions right away at the beginning, and then we just dive into a pretty in-depth episode of basketball and talking about what coaching is like and our experiences maybe with coaching and as players of the game, and just get to talk about that. So hopefully you enjoy the episode. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you guys today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great.
Great. I'm doing good. How was your dentist appointment?
That was bueno. Nice,
Bueno?
squeaky clean. Yep.
Squeaky clean.
Yep.
So my wife was talking to me about like dentist appointments because I hadn't had a dentist appointment in like 10 years when we got married. It's been forever. And she was like, well, now that you have dental insurance, you have no excuse. And I was like, fine, you can make me this appointment. And then so typically she gets hers cleaned like once a year. And I went in and I got mine and they were like, whoa, how long has it been? I was like, oh, it's been a while. And then they were like, you're not a once a year type person right now. We are coming in. So I have to go in like 2 or 3 times a year and get my teeth cleaned right now.
They had to bust out the jackhammer on you. And
yeah,
fancy
definitely.
tools out.
They definitely did. It was great. It was a lot of fun. So, well, gentlemen, today we have, we'll probably just go through one random question here, and then we'll talk about basketball, Horace basketball, Hawk basketball. I'm excited about that. It's fun to see the activities. It's fun to see the kids participating in it, and I know they're enjoying it. And it's fun to be, I'm assuming, fun to be a new coach. Also very intimidating, I would think, doing coaching for the first time here at Horace. But we're excited to have you guys on here. So first question that we're going to think about here. Would you rather have a rewind button or a pause button on your life?
I guess I'll speak first on that. I would go back. I would definitely have the rewind so that you can go back, fix things that you messed up on. Maybe, win the lottery, something like that. But I think everyone can pause once in a while. So I would say the rewind for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. This can be maybe a relatively simple one. Because, like, thinking about this practically, when's the pause button going to be extremely practical? I'm not entirely sure.
When I'm getting yelled at by my wife and I need just to pause.
Now, do you get to – now, here's the thing, and this is what I would actually assume. So the pause button, you hit the pause button. Can you now – does everything pause around you? And now you get to still go in and manipulate and, like –
Is this like a movie click or what?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and that's where it becomes a little bit more beneficial, I think. Like maybe somehow, like I just think of car accidents because I've been in so many in my life, right? If I knew that was going to happen, I could pause right before it. Right? Now I can get out of the vehicle. I can go maybe pull the other person out of their vehicle, right? Pull everyone out of my vehicle and then rewind or let go and then smash, but nobody gets hurt. But then technically speaking, if I have a rewind button, I could just rewind it and not do whatever it was that got me into the accident.
Take a different turn. Hit a different
exactly.
exit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if you knew kind of what to expect with the rewind, I would definitely go with that.
Yeah. Kyle, I think maybe you're looking for a fast forward button when the wife's getting after you.
Just to kind of get
wrong
through it.
There. Yeah.
Yes.
Just, all right.
Fast forward.
Let's get this going. Sometimes when the wife's telling stories, I'm like, okay, I need to fast forward to the end of this because she includes some details that I don't really follow. But I'd probably go rewind. I think rewind's the way to go there. Go back, right some wrongs and fix some things. And, yeah. I don't know when I'd use a pause other than maybe a scenario like you said, car crash or something like that, where you can sort of change the course of things. But rewind, I think you can go back and visit some of those moments in life that
that's a good point too.
You really wanted to either relive again or go through again or change in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And with the pause, I think about people saying stop and smell the roses, take things in kind of a thing. And I think you can just maybe, if you enjoyed something, rewind it and take it in again. You might not be able to pause, but you can definitely.
I think there's many dads out there that would do the rewind, live the old high school days.
We're sitting in a room with 2 dads right now, so.
Yeah, that's also true, yeah. If I could rewind and go all the way back to high school, I'd just tell myself, hey, play football instead of basketball. You're going to be way better at football than basketball. That's all I would do there. But no, the pause button, I think could be beneficial. I know, especially if I'm having a heated discussion with my wife or even a colleague or whoever, it'd probably be good for me just to be able to hit pause and cool down for a little while before I re-engage into that discussion. But I think still the rewind is just going to be more practical overall. Just being able to redo whatever or relive something that you loved, whatever the case is, right? Now, you could potentially get into some weird stuff, and we don't have to dive into that rabbit hole, but like, what if I rewind and I do a different action? Now, does that change my future? Right? What happens with my future now?
Butterfly
All that fun
effect.
stuff. Do we just create 3 dimensions? Whatever. There's that aspect of it, but part of me is like, I'm willing to take the chance on that. We'll see what happens. Well, I think, were we all in agreement there with rewind?
Rewind. All the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think we got time to go with one more here. This is an interesting one to me, and I've thought a little bit about it, but it's another would you rather here. Would you rather be a kid your whole life or an adult your whole life?
This is a good one. I like it.
It's a tough
I got to
one,
think
be
about
honest.
this one.
That's not tough at all for me. I'm straight up kid. I kind of still am. The only thing that makes me an adult is extra responsibilities.
Exactly.
But I'm still a kid at heart, and if I could just fly around and all I had to worry about was going to school and playing and being involved in activities and no responsibility, having to work and pay rent and pay bills and all that stuff, man, that's the life right there.
It seems, yeah, definitely seems like it for sure. I know for me, that's where I want to lean toward is the kid thing because I think, and even realistically, I feel like as adults in general, or maybe I shouldn't say in general, but I feel like a lot of adults are realistically trying to be a kid in some way, shape, or form anyways. And I think that's actually one of the amazing blessings of having a child. You don't necessarily live vicariously through your kid, but you kind of get to re-experience childhood again, right? Because you get to watch this kid learn and develop and all that stuff, and it's amazing. It's an amazing thing to have a child. So for those of you who don't have one yet, that's something that you do get to look forward to. However, I just got done telling my students that growing old is amazing.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
I know, right? It's very counterintuitive. But to me, like, this idea of wisdom and the wisdom that I gained from growing old and becoming an adult and experiencing things and gaining more responsibilities and going through stuff in life, like, I'm starting to, or at least I feel like I'm starting to value that more than I am things that I liked doing as a child, right? Realistically, the thing that probably keeps me the most childlike or that I act more like a child in even as well is probably video games, realistically, right? It's easy to play video games and it keeps you kind of young and as a kid a little bit to a degree, but then it's like, is this actually useful? Like, is this beneficial for me, beneficial for my time, or are there other things that I could be doing? So I think I have to spend my whole life as an adult personally because I'm starting to come around to this whole idea of growing old is actually an amazing thing, and I love it. But then there's just the responsibility.
So it sounds like you revel in the idea of being that old man on his rocking chair
I
one day on
do.
the front porch. Got every joke in the book, know everything
Yes.
about it, a little bit of everything. So
I
He'd
will
still be playing
absolutely
video
want
games
to.
in his rocker. That's for sure.
Yeah, I absolutely want to be that man someday. I was hoping to have a salt and pepper beard, but now my beard's red, so it'll just be white by then. I won't have the salt and pepper beard.
I'll be the Dennis the Menace kid that comes over and bugs you all the time.
Hey, then I get somebody to tell my stories to.
I think I would go with the old man kind of thought there. But I do like the aspect, Derek, of you being a young kid. I see that from you, definitely. I like,
great.
but I hate responsibility. It's like a good thing.
Yeah.
Because with responsibility, you get to do things, right?
Mhm.
So, like, going out as an adult, that's fun. Being stuck at home, not being able to do anything as a kid sucks, right? So, I think there's two dynamics to it, and but I want to be a dad someday and get old and say dad jokes and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
so it's kind of dual sided for me.
Mm.
I would say.
It's funny that you say that just because I have more responsibility, but am I responsible? I
No.
don't know. Like this morning,
No.
I had ice cream for breakfast.
Yep.
It's like, as a kid, that was my dream. And now as an adult, it's definitely,
Just living it out.
I'm happy. It's happening. I had ice cream for breakfast. Awesome.
Yeah, that's That is a part of being an adult with all the gaining responsibilities is like, okay, I gain more, but am I actually being more responsible? I don't know. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I do think the cool thing about being a child would be, maybe it's not necessarily a cool thing, but it's an interesting thing. It's the whole naivety of the earth or of the world around you, right? You're so in your bubble, right? You just don't experience everything else that's going on. That stuff doesn't really affect you very much. And that, I think, it's such a cool thing to have, that when you get to be an adult and start turning into it, and then you start to see all that stuff, it starts to turn you a little cynical. So that's what I have to be careful not to become, is the cynic. But
there's so much fun sometimes.
There is a lot of fun in being the old cynic, I suppose.
I think it'd also be cool to be, witness being a kid nowadays, to when, Derek, you're a little bit older than me. Kyle, you're about the same age as me. But, like, kids nowadays, it's way different. Like,
oh, yeah.
It'd be weird being a kid now for me.
Yeah, it would be. Well, actually, I should say it would be weird, but I also love video games, and that's what it seems like most of our kids do, so...
Yeah, it's definitely the gaming era.
Yes, I would probably fit right into this generation as far as the video games go, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one, but an very interesting thing to contemplate. So you listeners, you can definitely think about it. Those of you who are kids, enjoy your kid time right now, for sure. Enjoy it while it lasts, because from here on out, unfortunately, you will only be gaining more responsibility. It will never stop gaining responsibility. But also learn to love that responsibility, I will say that.
And with that comes wisdom, for sure.
Yes.
Yep.
So, all right, let's talk about some basketball here.
Sounds good.
So I got 3 coaches in here. We got Mr. Cummings and Mr. Kath here. They are the 9th grade girls coaches, head coach and assistant coach. And then Mr. Hutchinson here, our 9th grade boys basketball coach. So first of all, and you guys can answer this in no particular order. Just try not to talk over one another, I suppose. But what brought you to Heritage Horse in the first place?
I can go first, I guess. So I would say my wife and I grew up in Grand Forks, East Grand Forks area, and she's from kind of the Wahpeton, Gwinner area. And so we just always thought that the Fargo, West Fargo area would be a great halfway point for us. And so eventually we did move to West Fargo. We have a house there now. And so I really decided to kind of come this way when these jobs opened up, when Heritage, the school, opened up, and they posted all of the positions on the website. And so this job is really what brought us here, I'd say, but we always thought that this area would be a great halfway point for us. And so that's kind of why we moved this direction.
Cool. Where did you teach before this?
Before this, I taught at Grand Forks Schrader.
Okay.
Is the middle school that I was at, and I coached basketball at Grand Forks Red River, the high school.
Gotcha. Cool.
And I'm from Wahpeton, and I actually got my first gig there. Teaching math for 2 years, coached some baseball. So I was kind of back in my hometown, but I lived in West Fargo with my wife. So I was driving every day, and, I didn't mind that, but I wanted to get closer back to West Fargo here, future kids coming up pretty soon here, hopefully, for my wife and I. So I had to think about family a little bit, I would say. And then it was basically a shot in the dark for me. I applied for a CTE position here at Heritage, and I ended up getting it and got on coaching with Kyle here, and it's been fun. But kind of a shot in the dark. I like the small town kind of atmosphere. Yeah. I like the West Fargo competitiveness type atmosphere as well. So that's kind of how I got here, and I really enjoy it. I think it's going good so far.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that drive from Wahpeton to West Fargo or to Fargo, 45 minutes about, right?
Yep.
That can get long, though. My wife, when she taught her first 2 years in Fergus Falls, so when we lived in West Fargo, so she'd be driving an hour every day there and back. And definitely when we had the kid, it was like, all right, we gotta somehow get you back here. So now she teaches in Fargo, but it's like, having that, just losing 2 hours a day, that's tough. Yeah. I think I would maybe be okay with it because I just listen to a podcast the whole time.
I kind of shut my brain off. It's kind of nice. Yeah. But then I started looking down and I started seeing the dad bod a little bit more. So
that's fair.
I need to hit the weight room, and that's been helping me out a little bit too. So that extra 2 hours.
Yeah, that helps. Yeah, for sure.
Hey, what's wrong with the dad bod?
Nothing. I'm just saying.
All right. I put a lot of work into this bad boy.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I work on it every day. Actually.
You know, I used to live in Houston when I moved out here.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about the commute and things like that. You know, Houston, there's traffic all the time. And if you leave the house between 7 in the morning and 10, it's going to take you quite some time to get somewhere just to get somewhere else. If you know what I mean. Like, it's just a mess. So when people talk about, I had to drive from here, drive from there, it's like, you know, it's nothing to me. I actually enjoy it because it's wide open road. Houston, I would drive 31 miles. It would take me 2 hours because it's just stop and go and just complete mess. So I don't mind the traffic around here in the open road. That's something I actually enjoy, kind of like you said, throw a podcast in or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. But that's that's true. That's my North Dakota. I grew up born and raised in North Dakota, so I've never had to deal with traffic other than in the oil boom, where then we would actually run into similar situations just in a weird small town setting, which is a strange thing. You'd drive 30 miles, but it'd take you 2 hours because of bumper to bumper traffic in the oil field. But yeah, it's such a true thing for. I mean, anyone who's from North Dakota has lived in North Dakota, and then they start complaining about traffic. Part of me is just like, yeah, really? I get it, but you've never lived in a place like New York City or LA or Houston, you know, these big cities where it's like, no, you just know it's just going to take you a long time to get from point A to point B, no matter what.
To be honest, I really don't want to live in any place like that. I, in a previous podcast, have talked about drive time. Like, this school is about 10 minutes away from my house. Anything that's longer than that, I really struggle with. Anything that's an hour car ride, nope, can't do it. I don't think I'd be very good at traveling. So.
See, the worst part down south was I'd sit on the interstate and I could point to the building I was going to for about an hour and a half. I'm like, it's right there. I see it. I just can't get there.
Can't see it.
And you're just locked in. If there's an accident, it's over. You might as well just exit and go to happy hour or something.
Yeah, that's fair.
I had a conversation with a guy from Park City when I was skiing this winter, and just the concept of our roads in North Dakota is like mind-blowing to some people. Like what you can see for like 10 miles straight and you just drive straight for 45 minutes. Yeah, that's literally North Dakota.
Yeah, the valley there in Salt Lake and in Park City, it's an interesting place. My brother lives there, so we go visit him every now and then. And that's an interesting highway system that they got going sometimes. But yeah, there they got the mountain, so you can't see very far. You just see, and then it's a mountain. Yeah. So cool. Well, I'm very glad that you guys are all here. This is obviously my first year for all of us at Horace. So did you say where you taught or anything before, Derek?
No, I reckon I ought to answer the question, huh? We got a little off track there.
Yeah, I suppose we did,
If you talk to my students, that's kind of just what I do.
Same here.
I chase rabbits all the time. So I taught at Eastwood Elementary for a little while. Beginning of my career, I was there a few years. And then I wanted to get into middle school, and I was coaching at Cheyenne the whole time, and I knew this school was opening up. And as soon as I found out, I was like, I'm going to be the head coach there.
Nice.
And I'm going to coach the basketball team there. And so, part of coming down here to teach was A, to get into middle school, which has been awesome. I love this age group. And then B, to set myself up for potentially being the head coach here.
Nice.
And so everything kind of fell into place. And then I even ended up in social studies, which is where I wanted to be.
That's
love it. It's awesome. So
I still have your books right in front of this classroom right there.
I know. When I was in here subbing the other day, I looked and I was like, you know what? I told him these weren't mine, but I'm pretty sure they are.
Yeah. Social studies is where it's at.
Derek, you kind of sound like a lifer after that. Hearing that.
What's that? A lifer down here?
Well, just you love your job. You love maybe your potential head coach position. It sounds like a lifer a little bit to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've always envisioned. I come from a small town in Michigan. I've always envisioned getting somewhere and just being that coach that's there forever, that everybody knows in the community, and just kind of growing old, that small town Class B feel. I mean, honestly, my vision took me to a Class B school. So who knows if this grows into the monster that Cheyenne and some of these other schools are. Maybe I won't be as happy because I love this small town feel right now.
Yeah, I'm the same way too.
Yep. It'll be a few years though, for sure, before that happens. We're gonna grow slowly here. We're growing fast, maybe population wise, but the school will grow slow just because. West Fargo just eats up so many people. West Fargo High and Cheyenne, so it'll be a slow growth here for sure. I mean, we have how many freshmen right now? Like 100, I think, maybe a little bit less than 100 freshmen, right? And I don't know how big the 8th grade and the 7th grade are, but it's not like they're huge. So it'll take a while for sure. We'll have that small town feel for a while.
Showing the record button, but the iPad went to sleep over here, so
Should
I'm
be
hoping
okay.
you can hear me.
It should be fine.
Sounds good.
So, why basketball? That'll be the next question.
I can go first again on that one, I guess. So for basketball, for me, in East Grand Forks was always a 3-sport athlete. Tried to play as many sports as I could, but basketball was always my favorite. Was I the best at basketball? I don't know, but just kind of the attention to detail and everything with the footwork, the catching the ball, the shooting, just the little details that go into every part of it is just awesome. And it's so fast-paced, where just kind of going up and down and up and down. And I just kind of like the idea of how high you can get your score. It's very similar to my golf score. I'm always shooting for 100 is kind of what I'm doing. But
Nice.
But no, I really enjoy basketball, and so that's kind of the attention to detail is the big thing for me. And after high school, I did play college basketball, and so then that's actually where I met Preston. And so I always knew I wanted to go into coaching, and I kind of went hand in hand with teaching, and so that's what brought me to coaching basketball as well.
Nice.
I don't know, I just love the game. I've always been a student of the game. I watch it religiously. I mean, my wife gets so tired. She's like, "Why are you watching Quinnipiac versus Duquesne?" I'm like, "I don't know, because it's basketball."
Because it's basketball.
And it's
That's
just
funny.
it's just a love for me. I think it goes back to my childhood. I had one of those mini hoops, and just the feeling that it gives you to see the ball go through the net. It's addicting. I mean, that's what I tell my guys all the time on the team. I said, "Hey, you be addicted to that ball going through the net. Just love that feeling when it splashes, and want to do that over and over again, and work until you can do it over and over again from anywhere on the floor." And it's a team game, but at points in time, the ball's in your hand, and it's you. It's you in the rim, and you're a defender, and you're trying to get a leg up, trying to get an edge on him. But then, you move the ball around. One of my favorite things of basketball is an offensive set where everybody touches the ball, and it's like the right pass is made every time, and then you get it to the right guy, and the shot goes in, and it's just like that's really rewarding to me.
Yeah.
Love the game. Bill Bradley, actually, a book written by Bill Bradley, who was a U.S. Senator. He played basketball. I got it as a gift when I was younger. I can't remember the name of the book right now, but it was just about his journey as a basketball player, and talked about his time in the gym, and just hearing the ball in an empty gym hit the ground, and just the squeaking of the shoes and the splashing of the net. Those sounds and those feelings, those are something that resonate with me, and I love to hear it. It gets me excited.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, for me, I'm a big team sport guy, and I'm very competitive. I played basketball in high school. I wasn't the best player, but all my buddies played, and we grew up playing together. We stuck together type of deal, and we ended up being pretty good. Should have played hockey myself, but I stuck with my buddies. And when I think of basketball, I just think of, like Kyle said, you can see growth in kids. You can see them getting better. And then people get obsessed with it, like Derek said, getting better constantly as a team and as an individual is pretty cool to see. And coaching basketball, you get to see a lot of that. But basketball, personally, to me, it's the team aspect. It's hanging out with your buddies. It's the bus rides. It's you versus another school, and I love that aspect of everything with that. So that's why I love basketball.
Yeah. Basketball is always – I have a love-hate relationship with basketball, I will say that. And I don't ever follow the NBA. I will also say that. I don't watch professional basketball. But I will watch the tournament for sure. The NCAA March Madness tournament is one of my favorite things. It's so fun to watch. And I will say watching basketball on television, I don't know what kind of fan/coach you would call it, but I get so frustrated when I see the not good passes. Like you're like, I'm just sitting there, maybe because I have a different perspective, because technically I'm above, and I'm like, why would that person wasn't even open? Why would you do that? So then I get frustrated, and then a little bit of the coach. Then I start, what do you call it, couch coaching or whatever, or bleacher coaching a bunch with basketball, because I actually know the game. I just don't exactly enjoy it all the time. So if you ever hear me, if I'm ever in the stands and I yell, just be like, yeah, just quit bleacher coaching. We're fine. We got this. Don't worry about this.
That passing thing, you remind me of last year when I was playing against Kyle, because Kyle and I coached against each other at the sophomore level for 3 years in a row. And he threw a diamond press on us, and my inbounder kept turning the ball over, and it's the same thing. Yeah. Like he wasn't making the right pass. He kept passing it to the guy on their team, and I yelled out, and it was a little quieter in the gym than I expected it to be. But I'm like, he's on the other team, because he was handing it to him for layups. But that was a lot of fun. It reminded me of that scenario. But I get what you're saying. Yeah. It's frustrating because you see it, and you're like, what? What are you doing? What is going through your head right there?
Yeah, well, why did you make the decision? Or my favorite is when someone just dribbles down and shoots a basketball. Just shoots. I'm like, that's a terrible shot. What were you thinking? Yeah. Like, you're just going to pull up and shoot that? Like, you got to pass the ball. You got to run a screen. Do something. Don't just dribble up and shoot. Now, obviously, if you can hit everything and all that fun stuff, then okay, I get it. But, like, most of the time I'm seeing some dudes, like, coming off some little screen on the three-point arc, and they take, like, 2 dribbles and just not even set, just pivot and shoot, and it's like, that's a horrible shot. What are you doing? The percentage of that shot going in is so small. Now you're going to lose the game. Now you're going to bury yourself a little bit, because now let's say you can't play the defense. The other team goes and makes 2 points, and then that happens 2 more times. Now you're down 6. Then you start to run into that mindset of, oh boy, we just got to start shooting threes to get out of this. It's like, no.
That's the curse of the NBA is what you're talking about right there. I wish these kids would watch more college basketball.
Oh, yeah.
But what you said about March Madness.
Yeah.
Last year when they canceled it,
I was so sad.
Like I had to go to therapy.
Yeah.
I was in a severe state of depression for a while. My wife is like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know what to do. Like this weekend, these weekends are normally like holidays for me."
Yes.
You guys ever get, like, when you're watching UFC? I hate to bring like wrestling into a basketball talk.
Yeah.
Kind of to tie in with that couch coaching mindset there. When you guys are watching UFC or wrestling, like, you begin to like move with the people, and like, you're like so clenched tight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you, as a coach, like, I catch myself, like, I just need to loosen up. Like, I'm so into the game, and like, I get the same way watching basketball on the couch. Like, what are you doing? You start coaching, no one's there. It's kind of funny, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, it's fun. I love the tournament. Me and my buddies went to the tournament round 1. We watched 3 games. It was, I had no idea. I think Gonzaga was like the most well-known team that we watched that day, and then I think Utah was in there too. And it was just like, I didn't even care. I was like, I don't even care who shows up and plays today. We can have a bunch of random teams that I've never heard of. I'm just going to enjoy this tournament atmosphere, and it was so much fun. It was a blast. Let's go to this next question. So you guys explain like why basketball, but I want to ask you guys, tying into this why basketball and why you're coaching. But like, what is your favorite part about coaching? I think maybe you guys have talked a little bit about it already, but you can go ahead and reiterate or expound a little bit on what your favorite part, and then also conversely, we'll talk about what's your least favorite part. So go ahead with the favorite first.
My favorite part, there's several parts that are my favorite, but it's definitely the growth that you see from players. And so kind of I talked to Preston about this a lot, where it's just, I think about where we were on our first day of practice to where we are now, where we literally had to talk about passing and catching and your footwork. And now it's just, it's natural. You don't have to talk about it as much. You do have to remind them once in a while, but it's just that instant gratification, that growth. You just see how fast they get better, how fast they grow. That's definitely one of them. The other part is just kind of the competitive side of it. I'm a big competitive guy. I'm a competitor myself. And I typically play old man league, and I didn't this year, sadly, just because of COVID and stuff. But I think about just the competition side of things. And another part to me is just kind of the knowledge. There's a lot that goes into a game. There's 5 people on the floor for your team that are all moving at the same time. There's one ball. You got to share the ball. And there's really no better feeling than maybe a play that you worked on all week, and the time comes up to try and run it, and then they run it perfectly. That's honestly one of the best feelings as a coach. Is just something that you worked on, and here it is, and now it's so rewarding to see them go out there and actually do it.
Yeah, and then you also want to think for the players, like the light bulb goes off too, like, hey, we've been practicing that play all week, and we did it, and it worked. It worked amazing.
Coach knows what he's doing.
Yeah. That's always fun too. Yeah.
I don't think they've ever actually said that, but
Yeah.
I hope they've thought it.
I constantly have to point out to him, like, hey, do you realize that when I told you to do that, you scored or you got that rebound or, like, just work with me here.
Yeah.
I'll get you in the right spot.
Yeah.
My favorite part as an assistant coach, I'll speak from that perspective, is I can show up to practice. Kyle has the practice plan already set up, and I can basically just get there, and I look forward to practice. I look forward to seeing the girls after school and just chatting with them and being real with them. And but I also like to see girls getting better. And like Kyle said, it's not about the wins and losses, even though we are competitive. But seeing stuff actually work out is pretty cool. And seeing some girls, like, their confidence boosts up, hit, a 3 in a game or something. Like, we had a couple girls that they've been afraid to shoot. And we had a girl yesterday, and she just shot lights out. And, it's pretty cool to see.
Hey, that confidence goes a long ways. I'll get that even in old man ball. If I take a 3 and I hit that 3, you can better believe I'm going to be taking another 1 or 2 later in the game. But then when I brick it, I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'll just pass now.
It's actually crazy because Derek is still coaching on the boys' side. Preston is coaching on the boys' side. I have also, and it's just kind of crazy the confidence that's kind of one of the big differences for me. This is my first year coaching girls, and so as a player, I could be 0 for 10, but I knew next time I caught the ball, I'm looking for my own shot. And girls, it's like, oh, I've missed 1 or 2 shots, I'm gonna pass it next time, and they give up an open shot, and it's like, oh, that kills me. Where it's just like, I wish some of the confidence.
Yeah, if it's an open shot, take it. I mean, if it's open and you're set, right? No one's in your face. Just let her buck.
We had a play at the end of one of the games, and it was kind of a last-second shot we had set up, and 5 girls were in, and Kyle looks at all 5 of them playing in the eye, and he goes, "Who wants to score?" And it didn't matter if it was the worst shooter out of that 5. He was picking the person that said me, coach, and I thought that was pretty cool. The girl that said me was our shooter, so I don't. Did we score there? Or I don't quite remember.
We got a good look, but you know what? She took the shot.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Yep,
that's a line straight out of the replacements.
You're not wrong. I've got quite a few good nuggets of knowledge once in a while. They're all from movies, but still good nuggets.
Hey, Replacements is a great movie. I love that movie. I'll defend that movie with my life.
Yeah, definitely entertaining.
I haven't seen it, honestly.
Oh,
it's football.
You got to check it out.
Okay.
Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
It's great.
I don't know how he was successful in a football movie, but it happened.
Yeah.
It happened, man. Star quarterback.
Yeah.
Falco,
yes. I love it.
Nice. I'm a relationships guy.
Okay.
I am who I am because of the coaches and teachers and people that molded me into the person that I am today, and I think about them often. And I thought about this last year with the team I had last year. I was really close with the guys, and I'm always close with my players, and I'm not afraid to tell them I love them and care about them, and more than just basketball. That's huge to me.
Yep.
And so, I always thought I got into coaching so that my players, when they move on from their high school basketball careers, that they would remember me.
Okay.
Oh, Coach Hutch, he was this for me. I'll be at his funeral. I'll be at his, if he's sick, I'll send him a card, flowers, whatever, Yep. I always thought I was doing it so they could remember me. But last year with that group, and then reflecting on years before, I realized that it's something that I do so that I can remember them.
Okay.
So that I can follow them and see what they do in life and see if I was able to affect the way that they grow and develop into a human being. And that's where I really get my satisfaction when a kid comes back to me and, hey, I got a whatever on my ACT and accepted this school,
Yep.
That's the stuff I really thrive on. Or letters. I got a letter from a former player that had moved out of the area, and it was just so unexpected. And it was just a blessing to me to know that he was thinking of me.
Yeah.
But it also was nice because what it fills my bucket is knowing what he's gone on to do with his life.
Yes.
So I kind of realized that sort of what I'm getting from these players is probably more than what they're getting from me.
Yeah. I think to a degree, just teaching and coaching are a little bit of a unique career in that, right? Because you have such, we are in these students' lives in some of the most formative moments of their life, right? And, we can abuse that on accident, or if, we do it correctly and do it wisely, like it can have such a change for any of these students, right? I think it's such a cool thing about coaching and teaching. I think teaching, you do get to build the relationships, and I'm a very relationship-focused person in teaching, but I think coaching, you just get to take it to a whole different level. Like, because you just get to see a different side of the student, right? The students, when they come into the class, they're, for the most part, kind of ready to go, but they're in that mindset, okay, we're here to, like, listen and learn and write some notes and take some tests or do some projects, whatever, right? They're in that kind of mode a little bit, and you have some conversations, which when you're coaching, it's like, it's just a different animal. And I think it's such a unique and awesome place to be as a coach, right? I hope to coach too someday. Maybe golf is where I've been putting my name. I coached golf at West Fargo High School, but like I that's what I want to do as well. I want to build those relationships, and I think coaching, you just get to do it on an even deeper level because you just get to spend more time with them too. You get to spend more time with all these kids. So
yeah, I think you see the full range of their emotions too,
oh, for
and
sure.
you work through that with them because it's something they're so deeply passionate about, especially at the high school level.
And I coached 15 Babe Ruth in West Fargo, and pretty cool. I actually got to see my boys actually go through high school. I watched them from coaching Wapton. This is baseball talk, but I talked to a guy the other day, and he's playing at Valley City State, which I'm not a fan of Valley City State because I went to Mayville, but he's starting as a sophomore at second base, and that's pretty cool to hear. And I was like, I had an aspect in that kid's life. And another thing to add to that is parents. When you got some really fun parents, like they'll add you on Facebook and stuff like this, and you get to see like another side of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty neat too.
Yeah. So what's your guys' least favorite part about coaching?
For me, I went to a smaller school. I went to East Grand Forks. That was on the Minnesota side, and we didn't have to worry about really any cuts or anything like that. And so growing up, I always made the team. But now being at bigger schools like at Grand Forks, Red River, we had to make cuts every year, and that's kind of my biggest fear moving forward with this program. And that's definitely my least favorite part is telling somebody that wants to play basketball that they can't. That is easily the hardest part for me, where somebody, they just want to be on the team. They might want to just come and hang out with their friends. They love the game. Maybe they played when they were younger. But telling somebody, I'm sorry you didn't make the team or you can't play anymore, that is easily the worst part for me.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. That's, coming from Cheyenne and starting at the freshman level there, you got 38 kids coming out and you're only keeping 16 or 18. And these kids have never been told that they can't play basketball. Some of them are just devastated, and it's just the look on their face. It's you leave that room after the day you make cuts, and it's like you just got to find something to be positive about because it's very draining, and you carry it with you. And then even at the sophomore level, you trim it even more. And so you have those kids that got a little taste of high school basketball, and now you're cutting them, and some of them when they're blindsided and they think they've made it, and you just can't keep above a certain number. I wish I could keep all of them. It's tough. It's really tough to do that to a kid, especially at that age.
Yes.
So we were fortunate this year. I didn't have to make cuts. I know Kyle and Preston, you guys didn't have to either. And I think it'll be that way for a little while, but eventually as we grow, we're going to get there. And, maybe I'll bring in outside. Maybe you can do my cuts for me, Joel.
Yeah, sure. I'll
bring you in.
I have experience with it. I got cut my senior year in high school. I got cut from basketball my senior year. So I have experience. I can do the, hey, you're cut, but I'll also do but here's what you can and should do outside of this type scenario. A little bit of life coaching. This isn't the end all be all, but yeah, sure. Maybe I could be that person.
Right? And that's just kind of the thing too, where you don't want to crush somebody, you don't want to kind of ruin their self-confidence either. And that's just kind of the thing, is try to spin it as much of a positive note as you can, and that's just kind of the thing, is that's their world right there. That moment is, that's what they wanted. They wanted to make the team, they wanted to be on the team, but it's just kind of, there's no shame in that either, you know what I mean? It's,
nope.
You're going to be the best at something else, and so that's just kind of the way that I try to word it too often.
Yeah, it took me a long time to figure out that it was okay that I got cut from my basketball team. So just the whole idea of like when I got cut, and I should have got cut for sure. Like, and that's where I finally got into that realization of like, okay, why did I get cut? Well, it's because I wasn't very good. Well, why wasn't I very good? Well, I just didn't put the work in, right? I didn't put the work in outside it. I didn't shoot balls at home. I didn't play with buddies, right? I grew up on a ranch, so it wasn't like I could go into town and hang out with my friends and play basketball. And most of my friends didn't want to play basketball anyways because I wasn't friends with a lot of people on the basketball team. So it was like, I shouldn't have played. All right, if you put me out on that court on my senior year, I'm a liability. I'm not adding to the team, right? But it's not till years after getting cut that I started to realize that personally, and then also started to realize, hey, like that means like that should teach you something. Okay, maybe I didn't put the work in there, but how do I make it so that I don't ever feel this again, right? So if I'm going to pursue this, I'm going to work at it. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be doing it better than the next person so that I don't have to feel that, right? But it's not easy, especially in that moment, man. That is tough to hear that, and I do not envy any coach that has to make that decision.
I don't think any coach enjoys that at all. And I'm from a small town too, Wapton. I've said it multiple times, but I've never ever dealt with cuts before, so that would be. I've been through cuts. We did cut a couple seniors in Wapton my senior year. I should have been one of them, maybe. But I made the team, and I've never done it personally. But I would say my least favorite part about coaching is not being a player anymore.
That's fair.
It's hard for me to sit there, and I enjoy coaching, right? And, it's a big aspect of who I am as a person. But, man, I sit there some days, and I'm like, I hate coaching because I want to play. And I think that goes through a lot of people's heads, and you got to move past it type of thing. You can play the old man league and stuff like that. But I would say that's probably my least favorite part of coaching. Playing.
Not getting to play. Yep.
Wait till you turn 36 and you'll be like me and be like, man, I want to play, but I know what my body would feel like the next day. Sometimes I get up and down with the guys, and I wake up the next morning and can hardly walk, and my wife is like, you are just not very bright.
Don't do that anymore.
I don't have an off switch either. That's the problem, and I think, Preston, you'd probably be the same way.
Oh, yeah.
Competitive, and Kyle, I know you are. You did that drill the other day in practice and got those floor burns.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We just don't have off switches, that's why I stopped playing slow pitch softball, because I would just destroy my body and then not care about it until the next morning when I could hardly move.
Yeah. It's funny. I just think of like relating stuff to history because I love history. I'm a social studies teacher or whatever, but like Band of Brothers, the TV show, the HBO series about World War II following Easy Company. I just think of when they're fighting, they're going to invade this town, and they have this incompetent lieutenant who's leading them, and they all get out there, and they're like, what should we do? And he's like, I don't know. And then the captain, who used to be the lieutenant, who used to run the whole show and who used to be with them, just starts running out there, and then the other general comes out and is like, don't you dare go in there. We need you to say. But he's like, no, he wants to be there. He wants to get in. He's like, I know what needs to be done. I know how to do it. I need to be there. And it's like, no, you can't. But yeah, as a coach, that's got to be very difficult, especially if you don't have the off switch.
Yep. For
sure. Oh, man. So this is always a question that always interests me, and I don't think it's a very shallow question, but realistically, just how much time of your guys' week gets dedicated to coaching?
It's hard.
I'm curious to hear this one from you.
For me, it's really tough to put a number, like an hour amount on it, I'd say, because it varies from day to day. It does. Before I answered, I guess the best, like, coaching is my passion. It's what I love, but somebody told me one time now these numbers might be a little skewed, but they said don't let your $5,000 job dictate your $50,000 job. And
Gotcha.
So like for coaching and stuff, we get a pay stipend, which is nice and everything. But my job is teaching, and so during the school day, do I watch film here and there? Yes. Do I go and talk to Coach Kath or Mr. Hutchinson about kind of what we should do at practice or games and stuff? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, during those 8 hours from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I try not to let basketball dictate everything, just because this is my main job. Teaching is my main job.
Yeah, teaching's your main job. Yep.
But once 3 o'clock, 3:30 hits, we definitely have an hour and a half to 2 hours of practice each day. I go home, have some dinner. I usually watch at least one game a night, and that's whether that game is a college basketball game or an NBA game, or lately with everything being streamed and recorded, I have been watching quite a few games on YouTube from the night before or something like that was recorded. And so I would say a day I probably put in anywhere between 3 to 5 hours, and that's not counting the sleep I've lost after a tough loss or maybe a win where we should have won by more. That's not counting the sleep that I'm sitting there thinking about it. But I'd say a day definitely somewhere between 3 to 5 hours.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You know, Kyle and I teach on the same team for 7th grade here, and beginning of the year, I'd say we were bad because we were really excited, and we would just get talking basketball and realize that our other two teammates who aren't basketball coaches are just sitting there like, okay, we've got work to do. And Kyle and I are like, oh yeah, that's right. So we've gotten much better about avoiding basketball conversations at those times, but we still get into those scenarios where I'm just sitting there and it's on my brain. I'll ask him a question. Next thing you know, we're at the whiteboard drawing basketball courts and trying to figure things out. But yeah, I would say anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a day. Same thing. I usually get home, watch some film on either us or a team we faced or a team we're going to face again. And you know, my assistant coach, Coach Mock, who's not here, but he rewatched every single game and compiled points, rebounds, and assists, and free throws. He was keeping track of free throws for a thing that we're doing as far as the charity goes. But you know, so he's put a ton of time into that.
Yeah,
ton of time into that. I mean, just watching those games alone, and he did it for the B team too. So you're talking 3 hours worth of games. And I'm really appreciative of that, and I know that the guys are. Yeah. They like seeing that, and that's cool. And you always kind of want to know where you're at. So I would say for sure probably that 3 to 5 hour range. My brain is there a lot more.
I'm definitely going to have Preston do that too. Go back and rewatch all the games and compile our stats. So.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Hey, I never asked Mock to do it. He just took it and did it.
I'm just going to tell Preston to do it.
Nice. I would say, would you say your brain? How often would you say your brain is on basketball, Kyle? I would say it's probably double that.
Be
if not
real,
more.
Kyle.
Be real. Well, the thing is, this is not my only coaching gig either. I actually coach basketball out of the 12 months a year. I probably coach, I'd say 10, just in the summers and the spring. And I do some fall leagues and stuff. And so my mind is on basketball all the time. I don't even know. I can't even give you a percentage, but I'm thinking about my other teams that I coach too and stuff. So, yeah.
It's pretty easy for me, you know, being a 3-sport athlete and then, you know, just being a busy guy in general to basically move past something when you're out of season. For example, once we're done with basketball season, I'll be thinking about, you know, how the girls are doing and if they're doing anything basketball-wise. But I'm on to the next. I mean, I'm moving into baseball season. And right now, I would say I put in about 2 hours every day, maybe an hour and a half, obviously, because of practice. But, you know, when I get to school, I think about what are we going to do at practice? I maybe might chat with Kyle early in the morning and shoot the crap a little bit and, you know, just talk about what are we going to do today type thing. But I'm always thinking about stuff when it's the season time. You know what I mean? I go home. We always talk about games after the fact and what went well, what didn't. And Kyle and I, we kind of started a thing where we'll meet after and we'll have dinner and, you know, we'll talk about the game, but then we turn that talk off and we move past it type of thing. So
and I have to thank you for that because before I was the person that could think about a game that we lost 2 weeks later, I just could never stop thinking about it. But you've done a very good job of, short memory where, say we lose a game last night, then, all right, that's it. Now it's time to move on. It's time to turn the page and think about the next one. So,
Yeah.
But it's, it's always on my mind type of thing. I might not be directly 100% thinking about it, but, I might lay down at night and be like, wow, why didn't we run this play with that 1-3-1 defense or something like that? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Type thing.
Gotcha. So, we talked about right away, right? What brought you here? What brought you to Heritage Horace? What brought you to the Horace, this town, right? And then why basketball? But what has it been like being here with the community? What has it been like coaching around this community, and how's that been going this year?
I'll go first here because you guys have had a little bit more experience with the community. Derek, I feel like you've done a really good job with it, and Kyle's doing good too. But, just connecting with fundraisers and stuff like that, Kyle's done fantastic. He's just really good at talking with people. And Derek, I feel like you're good with your social media and parents and stuff like that. That's something I could maybe get a little bit better at, is talking with parents and stuff like that. But, our school in general, being a brand new school, and Mr. Stetcher and both our principals, they've been very encouraging to all three of us coaches, I would say. And community-wise, we've had, with COVID, it's been really hard with having people at games and stuff like that. But now that we're in the green here in North Dakota, we've been seeing a lot more support with parents and kind of getting into that actual atmosphere of basketball, and I love it. So community is getting really good. And I think the COVID has kind of made it a little bit difficult, I would say.
It's been a unique year, at least, especially regarding that aspect of it, for sure.
Absolutely. And I have to agree, too, where just it being the COVID year, I think that has put a damper on our parade, if you'd say that. I think that our plans, when we interviewed for these positions, they kind of asked us a similar question: how are you going to get the community involved? And things that I've wanted to do is I wanted to go to the feeder schools. I wanted to go to our elementary schools, bring some players, and try and get the younger kids excited. And, that might be something that inspires some kids to come out for basketball even.
Yeah.
And that's just something I wanted to do. And it's just, we've been told no. They have been encouraging, but we've been told no for a lot of things too, where I think about fundraising for one, like Preston had mentioned. We wanted to, go out into the community and maybe do some selling of things so we could buy, team gear, whatever it may be. But we were told, no, we can't do that. And also just because of, like, with COVID, who knows where people are at financially, whether they've been let go from their jobs or something. We didn't want to go out into the community and ask that quite yet.
Yep.
And so I have to just give a shout out to a couple of families that donated some money. They own their own business, and they were very generous with some of the money that they donated to our program. And also to the Horace Lions Club. They've been huge. Talk about community. They do a lot behind the scenes. And so me and Derek, we went and we did our pitch, we did our spiel, and we tried to schmooze them a little bit. And they were very generous and gave both of our programs a large amount of money. And so they've been huge support for us. And so talk about a community of Horace has been awesome. And now it's just with us moving into the green, I'm hoping that we can maybe invite some of those community members that might not have players on the team that can come and watch our games and just kind of see what we're all about.
I would like to add to Horace is starting a booster club, and it's in the works, and I'd like to give a shout out to them as well. It's kind of a work in progress right now, but I know they got our support, and they're always looking out for us, both boys and girls basketball. So booster club is going to be huge for us coming up probably next year. They're going to be a big part of our programs.
Yeah, it's a community on the grow. It's thriving, and they wanted this bad. They wanted their own, and they're gonna take hold of it, and they have, and they're gonna just really cherish it. I think there's gonna be a sense of pride out here that you're not gonna get at some of these other big schools. I think it's gonna go quite a bit deeper, and I think that administration and myself and Coach Cummings, we're big on being involved in the community. we're growing a staple of this community. These students, these players, this school is so important to everyone out here that is in the Horace community, that they're invested in a way that, is hard to understand.
Yeah.
This is very special to them. So they're willing to do a lot of things. We mentioned the Horace Lions and some of these other organizations that have reached out. We had some people already lining up. Jim Jonas with the West Fargo Exchange has reached out to give some money to the program. So, just people are really excited to feed into this program and see, and not just this program, this school in general. I know Horace Lions threw money to the librarian for a book thing, to the debate team, right? So they're ready. I mean, that's the community is ready for this, and they're going to hop on any opportunity to support it. And even from an individual standpoint, with my own team, I'll get parents call me all the time like, hey, we want to get subs for the boys, Subway sandwiches, and they'll just bring them in a cooler and they'll pass them out. And got a call the other day, say, hey, we're gonna, is it okay if we buy the boys backpacks? Because they saw the girls team had backpacks. So absolutely. No problem at all. And so the backpacks will be here next week. Just things like that where they're like, let's feed into these kids, feed into this school, and really help it to thrive in our community. And I think that's huge.
Yeah,
you get that relationship between the school and the community. Like I said, you're going to develop a sense of pride that you just don't get some places.
Yeah, for sure. Derek, why don't you talk about your other charity dealing, I think, with the community and with basketball too, with Buckets of Love here?
So the idea started, I had a friend in Houston that was going through some things with their child. And they basically had a child who was sick and terminally ill. And I was coaching at Cheyenne at the time. And I had this idea of like a way to raise money for him. And I brought it to my coach over there. And it was shot down. And he had his reasons. He didn't necessarily agree with the way I wanted to go about it. And they had already done fundraising that year, so I think maybe he misunderstood. But I just kind of held on to that idea. And so I saw this as an opportunity to bring it into our program and have it be a big part of it. I chose to call it Buckets of Love because basically, we're sinking buckets every time out to show our community that we love them and we got their back. So what it is, we go out and get pledges before the season, even during the season. I've had people reach out and pledge. And they pledge a dollar amount per free throw made throughout the season. Some have pledged 50 cents. Some have just given flat rates, things like that. We're open to whatever. But what I wanted and what I envisioned is a season-long journey where no matter what the team's going through, getting pounded by 30 because he had an off night or winning by 20, we still have something to celebrate every time we step up to that stripe and we put a ball through the net. That's a chunk of money that's going to go to a family that needs it.
Gotcha.
So we let the players decide the family. I reached out to some community members, and we brought about 5 stories to the table of Horace community members that were affected either by the pandemic or tragedy. And we actually chose the Bricker family who lost their father, a couple of elementary children over at Horace Elementary. And the guys decided to play the season for them and knock down those free throws for them. And I reached out to Mom, and she's really grateful. He passed away right before Christmas, so I know it was really tough on them.
No kidding.
And we just want to let them know we're here to support and help out with some of those expenses that may have occurred during that. And just give back. It's all about giving back, and we don't keep anything. 100% goes back to whoever it is. So it's not necessarily a fundraiser. It's just a way to teach these young men, like, hey, focus on the good things. Focus on finding something positive to celebrate. No matter what's going on, no matter what the scoreboard looks like, you're helping someone. Every time you walk up and knock it down.
Nice.
I think that's pretty neat.
That's super cool.
That is really cool.
It's something that's bigger than yourself individually. It's something that's even bigger than the team. It's just showing them too that it goes beyond basketball. And so,
yeah, that's super cool. talked to one of your players the other day about shooting free throws and how the best way to shoot a free throw is actually the granny shot. And I don't know if he's put it into practice yet. I told him he's going to get made fun of for it, but as soon as he figures it out, it's the highest percentage way to shoot a basketball. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
I haven't seen it yet, but a couple of our free throw percentages are pretty subpar, so I wouldn't be against trying it.
Yeah,
it's the right kid.
Your team and my team both.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been statistically proven it's the highest percentage. Obviously, it's just not going to work anywhere other than the free throw line because you're just going to get stuffed immediately.
Well, who was it? Rick Barry and his son? Was it the Barrys that played at Florida a couple years back?
Yeah.
He a college basketball player, man. He shot like 86% from the free throw line, shooting granny style.
Yeah.
What movie is it? The Hoosiers, or there's some basketball movie where the guy?
I don't know.
It's the Hoosiers where he does the granny shot.
Yep, the
Hey,
granny shot.
It's a more consistent motion. It's an easier replicated motion, I said, than your average basketball shot. So
Kind of like bags.
Yep.
Cornhole.
pretty much.
Bags.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Since you're an expert on the granny shot,
Yeah.
do you think that like when a player becomes fatigued, oftentimes they'll miss a free throw because their legs are tired?
Yes.
Does it eliminate the legs?
That I don't know because
To the
you're still
point where
using
it
a lot of
doesn't
your legs
affect.
and your hips in the granny shot.
Actually, you got back involved too. I would say maybe lower
Yeah.
back.
That would be an interesting case study. Maybe I should go run up and down the floor a ton once and see. I'll come join one of your practices and I'll run up and down the floor with the guys. And then at the end of practice, I'll shoot the granny shot. See what happens.
Yeah, you get. Hey, this is happening. You each get 10 shots after running. How many 16s should he run? Or should he run a
Let's
Spartan
go
7?
two 16s.
2 16s, and then you both go straight to the free throw line. You get 10 shots.
Oh boy, I actually have to perfect the granny shot a little bit beforehand because I'm not great at it yet. But Kyle's seen my shot; it's not great either. So
From the side profile, it actually looked pretty good, but then when I was standing underneath the rim when we were straight on,
It's not great.
was definitely cocked to the side of your head, kind of a lot like Lonzo Ball.
yep, it's not great. It's not a good shot.
Hey, does it go in?
Sometimes, not often. Not often enough for me to call myself a shooter.
Hey, I'm not a shooter either.
So I will play. I'm more of a post player, even though I'm a small person, just because I like pushing people and getting pushed. It's fine.
Must have something to do with the beard because that's how I am too.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is.
That is the one nice thing about basketball, though. There's really one way to shoot the basketball if you think about it.
Oh yeah, no.
In baseball, you see all these different swings.
Mhm.
These guys are in the MLB. Well, there is not one perfect swing. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes it kind of hard.
Mm-hmm. Basketball,
But,
there is.
but you can include the granny shot a little bit.
Just at the free throw line.
Just free throws.
You might as well try it. If they're sub whatever percent, you might as well just give it a shot. Who knows?
I think the baby hook needs to be more a part of the game again.
It's the best. That's
Everybody
my
wants to
only shot.
Euro step and go jelly and all that. You guys know what jelly is?
I don't know
No.
what jelly. I know the Euro step.
It's like it's you go to the hoop and you spin the ball on a layup and kind of flick your wrist because it looks cool, but dramatically increases your chance of missing the layup. But if it goes in, everybody gets all rowdy. It's kind of like when somebody breaks somebody's ankles and they fall down, and the crowd goes nuts, and then they break the shot.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things that the NBA is really teaching these kids some
Nice.
really good habits sometimes. And we spend hours breaking them, right, Kyle?
Hours
days,
trying to break them from these
days.
habits. I love the hook shot. Bring it back. It's the best. Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, we did an hour about here. We're right at an hour here. So thanks for joining the Hawkcast and bringing in your guys' expertise. And we're excited to have you guys as coaches for this year and then hopefully for the future years. It's going to be fun building a program here and watching it grow. So thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.